Welcome back and moving on to our second segment for today, talking about the tourism industry and the booming in the Egyptian tourism industry. And we all know how tourism is very important as it is one of the main sources of the national income to Egypt. Actually, we have seen many challenges and we have seen how Egypt was capable of confronting all challenges, and we have seen the inflow of the number of tourists here to Egypt. Today we have the pleasure to have with us Mr. Hany, and he is a tourism expert. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lashin.
Good morning.
Where would we start? When we talk about tourism, and now in 2019, and the diversity and the types of tourists that we see flowing, like my dear colleague Nashwa just mentioned, and also the different types of tourism that have emerged with the momentum, like the conference tourism, the festival tourism, gastronomy, you name it. I mean, new booming religion tourism, the Holy Family trip also. These are types of tourism that have emerged with the hour, and also, I mean, some of them are historical, but at the same time, we are innovating in our methods and in our process. So if you'd like to elaborate over this.
Okay, this is Egypt, what you are talking about. That's, we have everything which is the tourist looking for. As you mentioned, we have a lot of kind of tourism attraction in Egypt. We are not limited for a certain kind of destinations. We have a lot of destinations in Egypt and a lot of attraction. That's make us Egypt. So what, and the successful story in 2018 and 19 for tourism sector, actually it was very remarkable, and we have to highlight it and show the success of the efforts and good planning. In 2018-19, recently the central bank raised the report showing that we achieved 12.5 billion US dollar revenue coming from tourism sector, and it's 28% growth. Comparing with 2019 and 2018, and it's historical wise, it's the highest achievement of revenue in Egypt for tourism sector. That will make us very proud that the sector is very doing well, especially with the competition between us and many countries in the Middle East and internationally. We success to open a gate for new doors and creating a new segmentation in Egypt, and try to get a new, to not focusing in one market. We diverse the markets now, and we have a lot of different markets. That's made for us the revenue has been increased and showing a very positive result. The numbers talking about Egypt, how we, the plan for tourism sector and for Ministry of Tourism, especially Minister of Tourism, Dr. Rania, she did a lot of efforts and very remarkable efforts to keep Egypt and tourism sector in the success stage. 2018, 2019.
I think also maybe the part that now we are thinking out of the box. We are not adopting the previous traditional trends in marketing for Egypt. For example, if you allow me to focus on celebrities coming to visit Egypt. In the past, we used to talk about how can we use the visit of any of the celebrities coming, because he has millions of followers, and of course his one picture or two pictures by the pyramids, by any of the fascinating sites here in Egypt will add a lot to Egypt, of course, as it is a word of mouth. So definitely recently we started to use this very strongly, whether we are talking about arts, about culture, about hosting football or sports in general, having here some of the soccer's players. Let's highlight this and how important it is.
Yes, one of the pillars which was Dr. Rania made it in her program. There's a very comprehensive program for called Tourism Reform Program 2030. And this program is focusing is sustainable tourism but there is five major pillars to focus on. One of them, which is you mentioned about the changing the promotional tools, to adapt a new promotional tools to be a very, very modern. And one of these tools, getting the followers for the celebrities when they come to Egypt and focusing on social media and that. Actually, just 27th of September and from 21st of September to 27th of September, we had a fan trap for many of the influencers, and they came to Egypt, writers, and to write about Egypt and take photos in different destinations and to show it in the social media and so in digital marketing. The idea now
From
we are
for example, talking about international singers or the famous singers who came to have live concerts as well here.
correct, and also Elgona. We had the Elgona Cinema Festival. There's many of the stars also came here. So we changed the method. That's what I was talking about. Egypt now is not following the same old-fashioned style. Now we are very open to the international standard, and we're trying now to focusing in the new tools for promotional authority. We also recognize the importance the very important importance of the digital marketing and digitalization, our promotional. Focusing in the digital marketing, focusing on social media, getting the people write about Egypt, the movies, the short movies about Egypt. Now, the good news that's the new Egyptian movie for the promotional tourism
People
promotion,
to
people to people, ranking now #1 in the Middle East and Africa, and it's good news. That's the first time from a long time, I think from more than 10-12 years, Egypt heading the first place for the movie for people to people.
Right. Mr. Lashin, when we talk about Egypt jumping 9 spots higher in tourism competitiveness index rankings, how do you read that exclusive report?
74, it was our old position, now it became a 65. I can read this position from two sides. From the positive side, which is really we're doing well, we are in the right track. People and the international firms see Egypt in the right position. They understand the efforts happen in Egypt and how we are trying to push the tourism sector in the right track. From the other side, it's not the real position for Egypt. Egypt should be among the 10 positions all over the world, top destination, 10 top destination. But if we are following the same strategy and we are start now to eliminate our position from 74 to 65, if we continuously using the same strategy, hopefully by 2030 we'll be in the first 10 position and destination all over the world.
When we talk about tourism, we can never separate it from aviation as well.
Of course.
And in the past, we used to see some challenges and talking about the harmony between two sectors, and there were some shortage in the charter flights. I think nowadays we started to see more cooperation, and actually we're talking a lot about this in particular when it comes to the new markets, because you can never open a new market without providing him charter flights and providing him with transportation.
Totally agree with you. That's one of the most major elements, the aviation in tourism sector. It was one of the weakness point also, the gap between the tourism sector and aviation, civil aviation, it was a little bit big. Now they came more closer, they start to do a joint venture or using what they called it packages. We try now to do packages from the side of civil aviation to aviation to do a special promotion with the tourism sector, increasing the number of flights, opening a new destination, opening the new Sphinx airport, which is definitely will help bring, especially in the Grand Museum. Once it's open and pyramids area, that will give Egypt also a very good proof about the tourism sector. So aviation, still we have a lot of work to do it together, especially Egypt Air, one of the oldest Arab airline. We should focusing more, and we're trying to give a special rate, especially now the competition is very high, and the transportation, one of the most element and expensive element in the travel decision. So the travelers, when they take decision to travel to certain destination, one of the barrier for them, the ticket price. So now if we have to focus with Egypt Air to find or to create a new packages which is can helping attracting more people, because by the end of the day it's a national income. It's not a revenue for Egypt Air or revenue for tourism sector. Both of them, they will helping the national income and GDP for Egypt.
When we talk about seasonal tourism, there are certain seasons for every nationality. I mean, the Europeans come in a season, Americans, Far East, and the Gulf tourism. This is very important, and it needs special touristic campaigns, and it needs special programs with flavors that would come to the taste of that type of nationality. So this is a whole sector or institution in its own right. How do we regulate that?
Egypt is 12 months. We are not for season. I totally agree with you about seasonal from the vacation holidays in certain countries in certain times, so they are traveling to Egypt. We have the climate, we have the weather, we have the different destination which can attract 12 months the tourism. That's one of the very strange point in Egypt sector, the tourism sector. Adding and understanding the new markets is very important. For example, now we start in tourism, Ministry of Tourism start a program for training program for the Egyptian chefs by expert chefs from Chinese to train them how to do right cooking and the flavors for the Chinese cuisine. That's also one of the points we start to focus how to attract the Chinese market and let them getting their flavor while they are visiting Egypt. By getting this kind of programs and kind of training will helping the Chinese market to come here. And we find also recently Dr. Rania met with Chef Pofichin, the top chef, and starting a program to enhancing the Egyptian cuisine as well in the market.
Right, at the end, Mr. Hany Lashin, our tourism expert, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, of course, for your input on this. Thank you very much. Right, and with this we come to the end of our breakfast show for today. Thank you all for joining us, and you are in the company of my dear colleague Dina Hussein and myself, Nashwa Rashid. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up on Now TV International.